Meeting to order. Rodney, would you lead us to the pledge of allegiance, please?
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Councilmember Squires,
Here.
Councilmember Wilkes. Here. Vice Mayor Arnold,
Here.
and Mayor Shepherd,
Here.
all are present.
Thank you. Item 4, public comment. Members of the public may address the city council on matters which are not listed on this agenda. The city council may not discuss nor take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment? Vicky, please state your name and address for the record.
My address?
Here.
I'm not giving you my address. It's Stockley, like the last one.
Just say the street, no numbers.
3rd Street. Vicki Harrison, 3rd Street.
Thank you.
Repping 3rd Street. Okay, I'm just here for a good reason tonight. I'm not here to complain about anything for once. So I'm just here to give you all an update on National Night Out. There's big people about National Night Out not happening or whatever here, but a lot of people came together. Jan Myers took the steer by the horns and she has ran with it. And we are ready to have a great night on August 5th at the Oak Park. And between 5:30 and 7:30, we would like to invite our council members to show up. We have backpacks that SunWest has donated money to give for the Methodist Church to purchase, and they will give out over 120 backpacks. We have FFA who's going to be giving out 250 hot dogs, meals. Manny Madison's donated water. Lots of people have just jumped in to donate to make this happen. We've got about 10 vendors. We've got fire and we've got PD coming. And the pool will be open all night for everybody that wants to swim for free. Vendors are free. Whoever wants to come set up, just let me know that you're coming so we can make space for you. And we want to give big thanks to Rodney and Anita for helping out, and Doug Kalin really stepped up, and he's going to cover the event insurance. And him and his staff, they just pulled everything together to help us get this going. So I just give you an idea about what's going on and to invite you guys all to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hi, Reggie.
Hi. So, you don't know, on D Street, I had my portion of my driveway poured about 3.5 weeks ago. And I sent text to Paul and Rodney as well, and to Anita. It's crumbling already. And the whole driveway has not been poured like it was supposed to be, only portion was. And I was told that the first section would be poured a certain day, and it was, and the rest of it hasn't been done. Now the whole thing needs to be jackhammered up and poured. My surveyor came by to try to get my lot line completed. Is still being held up by the city and the county. And he said, your driveway is crumbling. He's an engineer with Caltrans. So both corners, both sides of the driveway is crumbling and breaking off. So it needs to be jackhammered up and poured correctly. The money was wasted, the different sport. There was no rebar, and it was not poured correctly. So it needs to be done. My house was shown today for the first time. I want it nice so that I can sell my home. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, thank you. Item 5, presentations, memorial resolution. Rodney, can you handle that for us?
I'm gonna help guy out here. So, a very important member of this area, this community, and also a dear family member, Councilmember Wilkes, passed away earlier this year. Salvador Ramirez Antunes, is that correct?
Yes.
So, with that, a Megan Dolly, the first senatorial district, provided a memorial resolution in his name to be read out loud for everybody here through the Senate. Bear with me, it's a little long, and my modulation may fluctuate. If you're not loud enough, please let me know. Whereas the passing on April 23rd, 2025 of Salvador Ramirez Antunes, a distinguished California veteran and contributor to public education, whose lifetime of achievements earned him the respect and admiration of his colleagues and the countless individuals whose lives he touched, brought great sorrow and intense and immense sense of loss to people throughout the state of California. And whereas, born on July 26, 1949, in El Pabilo, Durango, Mexico, to Gavino and Francesca Antunes, Salvador Antunes grew up alongside his brother Arthur, his sisters Josephine, Juanita, Lorraine, Rosa, Hortensia, and Anita, and having moved to the United States with his family, Salvador enlisted in the U.S. Army and served with honor during the Vietnam War. And whereas after marrying the love of his life, Pamela, Salvador became a proud and loving father of 2 children, Tina and Marcus, and to the support of his family, Salvador built a 29-year career with the Chico Unified School District, diligently working to advance his mission of supporting all of his students in their pursuit to achieve high levels of academic and personal success, contribute to their community, and confidently succeed in changing global society. And whereas a man of great faith who loved music and connecting with others through fellowship, and by fostering a sense of community, Salvador was an enthusiastic member of his church's worship team. And whereas held in high esteem by his loving family, his numerous friends, and other individuals fortunate enough to have known him, Salvador created a meaningful legacy that speaks to the great good that can be accomplished by those who strive for the best in every aspect of their lives. And he is admired and appreciated for his kindness, generosity of spirit, love of family, wonderful sense of humor, and genuine capacity to share his time and talents with others. Whereas preceded in death by his parents, Gavino and Francesca Antunes, and his loving wife, Pamela Moyer Antunes, Salvador Antunes leaves to mourn his passing and celebrate his legacy. His brother, Arthur Antunes, his sister, Josephine Antunes, Juanita Rayford, Lorraine Antunes, Rosa Packard, husband Bill, Hortensia Jackson, husband Rick, Anita Wilkes, husband John, his daughter, Tina Antunes Barnes, husband Andy, his son, Marcus Antunes, his 11 grandchildren, and his many nieces, nephews, and other extended family members, and close friends. Now, therefore, be resolved by Senator Megan Dolly that she joins the family and friends of Salvador Ramirez Antunes in celebrating and revering the accomplishments and legacy of a distinguished and caring individual who lived life to the fullest, whose generosity was extended without hesitation or expectation of reward, and whose spirit will live on forever in the hearts and memories of his loved ones.
Thank you.
About a picture. You want to hold that and get a picture? Take a picture.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say to everyone here, especially all of the men and women that serve our country, how much they give up for our country and what they do. He was drafted right out of high school to Vietnam and came back and did a lot of wonderful things for many, many people, and lived in the Chico area, then Paradise, went to Butte Valley. But at the end, he chose Biggs to live out his days. He fell ill with cancer, but he loved his community, and the reason he loved his community was because of, it was a small community, and he just didn't like Chico was too big for him after a while. But anyway, I want to thank everyone here. If you served in the military, thank you. Thank you so much for this.
And actually, Cliff went above and beyond his duties.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item B, California Consulting Grant Writing Services.
Hello everyone, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Thank you for having us this evening. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much. My name is Samantha D'Ambrosio. I'm a grant specialist here with California Consulting. We have our CEO on the line, Steve Samuelian. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, Mayor, council members, city manager, thank you so much for allowing California Consulting the opportunity to speak to you this evening regarding our favorite subject, which is grants and grant writing. My name is Steve Samuelian, I'm the owner of the company, and it's an honor to be with you here this evening.
Thank you.
So we have a presentation, a slide presentation for you all this evening. And I'm going to share my screen to get us kicked off. I have had to send a request to share. Let's see if that works now. Great. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So let me tell you a little bit about California Consulting. California Consulting is a grant writing firm that started about 22 years ago now. Our grant writers specialize in grant writing 24/7. All grants, all the time is our motto. We don't do anything like lobbying or government affairs. Closest thing we have to that is a member of our team is in DC and meets with federal agencies and congressional reps to discuss federal funding for our clients. Besides that, we stick to grant writing, and we also do grant reporting and administration for grants. With that, our grant writers have written more than 1,600 competitive applications that have been funded for our clients. And we brought in more than $1.6 billion for our clients. We have contracts with more than 135 public agencies across California, which makes us the largest grant writing firm in the state. And we have a team of about 54 members. Of our 135 clients, about 90% of them are cities and school districts, but we also work for counties, special districts, some community colleges, and K through 12. The bulk of who we work with are specifically cities and K through 12. And I'll go over some of our clients here. Around your area, City of Biggs area, we work for Butte County. We also work for Sutter County. Nevada County is also our client, and we've had some success with Nevada County. We recently wrote the Strategic Growth Council Community Resilience Center Implementation Grant for the county, which was awarded for $10 million. That was back in 2023. This grant is coming out again in 2026, and our team is very excited to write that application. Currently, we're waiting on 2 grants that we've submitted on behalf of the county. And if those grants get awarded, we'll add another $10 million to that category. We also work for the city of Oroville. They are our client. Here's some success that we've had with the city, over $5 million in funding secured. City of Grass Valley is also our client. They have been a client since the beginning of this year, so we haven't had too much time with them, but we've submitted plenty of grants on their behalf that we're waiting to hear back on. Recently, we submitted the OTS grant right off the bat. That grant was due in January, and it was awarded for over $100,000. We also submitted some very competitive applications from FEMA, CalOES, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the CAL FIRE Wildfire Prevention Grant is in the queue. That's due August 6th, and we're preparing to submit it for the city. City of Nevada is also our client. We have been working very diligently with their team, and we have had success. They've been our client since 2024, and we've secured over $1 million in funding for their team. Our grant writers are very active for our clients, so this is a city that we're very proud of to achieve so much in such a little short amount of time. City of Gridley, your neighbor, is also our client. They recently signed with us, I believe back in the beginning of the year. And since then, we've submitted multiple applications on their behalf. 3 HMGP NOIs, that was due in May. A tobacco grant program, T-Mobile Hometown Grant, US and DOJ cops hiring for their police department, and FEMA's SAFER grant for their fire department. If those grants are all successful, we will have secured over $4 million in funding. Now here is what we call a by the numbers. One thing that we pride ourselves in having at California Consulting is a high return on investment ROI for our clients, where we always bring in more money in grant awards than our clients pay us. Here you can see City of Vallejo is a longer standing client. They've been with us for 3 years. We've written plenty of grants on their behalf and have secured over $30 million in funding. The amount they paid to California Consulting is much less than they've secured, so we have an extremely high return on investment for that city. Additionally, we can send this slide deck to you and all of your members. We have a long list of awarded grants for our clients. Your team can take your time to go through this list. There's plenty of grants in and around your area, grants that your city would be eligible for and likely have interest in applying for in upcoming rounds. You can see here, City of Vallejo, we secured over $3 million in grant funding for their team. Also, here's some of our grant awards for Oroville. Additionally, we award for City of Vacaville and have secured plenty of funding on their behalf, over $7 million. Here's our large grant for County of Nevada. And now how we work. So for our clients, this is our process. We have 2 types of contracts we work with clients for. These 2 models are a little bit different, but they all follow the same initial process. I'll first mention the on-call contract, which is a contract we have with our clients. It is a no-cost contract to our clients. They are not paying California Consulting any money to have that contract, and that contract includes a needs assessment. This is where we meet with all of your department heads. We discuss your high priority needs, what you're looking for in terms of grant funding, maybe your projects on your CIP list or any other funding needs that you have. We identify grants and bring those needs to you, also at no cost. We do a go, no-go analysis to make sure that your project fits the scoring rubric. Once we deem you're competitive in the program, the application, and your team agrees you're competitive, you want to go for it, we call it a go. And then we provide you with a quote for how much we will charge to write that grant. And you can choose to hire California Consulting to write that grant. You can choose to write that grant in-house with your city team. You can even choose to hire another grant writing firm to write it. We hope you don't do that, but it's part of our scope, it's part of that contract. To summarize, it's a no-cost contract. We're doing all of the research for you. We're meeting with you at least once a month to discuss grants, and you're only paying us if your team wants to hire California Consulting to write the grant that we've identified, and you can even hire us to write a grant that your team has identified, perhaps. The other way that we work with clients is on a monthly retainer basis. So we're their grant writer, basically another arm of their team, working in-house with them to write, whether it's 3 grants a month, 5 grants a month, 7 grants a month. It's all going to cost one flat fee month to month, and that fee is not going to change. That fee also includes post-award compliance and grant reporting baked into that monthly cost. So I'd say the difference between the two is that the on-call option is maybe for a client who is looking to try California Consulting out, not spend too much money, and they want to test the waters a little bit, or maybe they want to be more strategic in their approach and only go for a few grants in a year. The monthly retainer option is for clients who are looking to be a little bit more aggressive in their grant pursuits and write more than one grant a month, or maybe even just one grant a month. If you're looking to be more aggressive, the monthly retainer option is going to cost a lot less than the per grant on-call option. So we don't sway our clients one way or another. It's really just up to your needs and how aggressive you'd like to be in pursuing grants. I'll go to the next, just one more thing I wanted to mention. We do all postal work compliance and reporting. I mentioned those costs are baked into our monthly retainer contract. And on the on-call contract, we can also do postal work compliance and reporting. It'll just follow the same process as grant writing. If your team has an assignment for us, we will quote you how much it'll cost to complete those reporting requirements, and you can choose to hire us, or you can choose to continue doing it in-house. We do grant reporting and administration for grants we write, and also grants we don't write. So if you have an assignment or reporting that your team is dealing with, and you need extra staff or an additional arm, we're able to support the city in that way.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask clarification again? You said that you will do all of the grant reporting, is that correct?
Yes, we are able to do all the grant reporting. I'm just mentioning the two different styles of contracts that we have. One is the on-call, which is the no-cost contract. The other one is the monthly retainer, which costs one flat fee per month for our services. With the on-call contract, the grant reporting and administration that pricing will be determined we'll quote you a price for that specific reporting requirement on a grant that you have.
For on-call?
For on-call, yes. And then with the monthly retainer contract, the grant reporting and administration is included in that monthly fee, so you won't have to pay extra for that.
Thank you.
So grants out now, California Consulting is writing a plethora of grants currently for our clients. Here is a list of a few. We're writing more. Each grant writer is working individually for their clients, writing many grants. We're excited about the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, LWCF. It's due August 5th. This is your parks grant in fund acquisition, development of empty park space, or rehabilitation of a park to reflect the needs of the community and make it a vibrant recreational space for the city. We're also writing EV charging grants, many EV charging grants. This one is an incentive to install publicly available fast chargers for light duty vehicles. You can get up to $100,000 per charging port you install. Route to Parks grant is basically a field trip grant for any individuals who may not have access to California state parks and beaches. It'll pay for that field trip to California state parks and beaches. Behavioral Health Continuum Infrastructure Program. This is to fund expansion, increasing service capacity at mental health or substance use disorder facilities, which can include construction costs, including rehabilitation for any existing facilities. California Fire Safety Council State Fire Capacity Grant is for any types of hazardous fuel reduction, wildfire prevention planning, and community outreach and education activities. Cal Recycle Tire-Derived Aggregate Grant is for creative construction projects using that tire-derived aggregate material. Examples can be slope stabilization, landfill application, vibration mitigation, stormwater mitigation, water filtration, and others. Again, another long list of grants. I would highlight here, not to take up too much time with anyone, the T-Mobile Hometown Grant is a fantastic grant for small cities, which City of Biggs is. It funds any city under 50K population, and it's meant to create or fix any type of community space to foster connections. So that could be any physical improvements to community buildings. We've used it for fixing a roof at a community center before. We've also used it to fund any rehabilitation to trails, bathrooms in parks, lighting in parks, technology projects for the public library. So I think we're currently writing it for a new AV system in the library. And you could do many other things with this grant, but it would be a great grant, less competitive as the city is a smaller city. And then HMGP, Cal OES's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. I saw the City of Biggs was included in the county's local hazard mitigation plan, which is great. So this, you can apply for any implementation projects to mitigate hazards identified in that local hazard mitigation plan. As a rolling deadline, California Consulting has written many HMGP program grants that have been successful. So we definitely would look into that one for your city. I understand flooding is an issue. So on this list of upcoming grants, you can see the FEMA's Flood Mitigation Assistance Program is on here. We've discussed this grant with the county, and being working for the county, it would benefit the city as most grants encourage partnerships. So if we can connect with the county, involve the City of Biggs on a grant, it would make it more competitive, more beneficial for both of those entities. I mentioned Strategic Growth Council Community Resilience Center grant is coming out in 2026. This is to fund a community resilience center in case of any extreme weather emergencies for communities. It's a great grant, very popular among our clients. We would also look into HCD's Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. I believe you wouldn't be in an entitlement city, so you'd go through the competitive process. This is a grant that funds housing and economic development projects that provide community benefit. It's a great, very versatile grant. Definitely would look into that for the city. I will end here on my side. I'm going to ask my CEO, Steve Samuelian, if he has anything to add.
Thank you, Sammy. Great job. I think you gave a very comprehensive overview of the company. I'll just reiterate, we've been in existence for 21, almost 22 years. Started from scratch, and we now work with over 135 public agencies across the state, cities primarily, but also some counties and school districts as well. We are working very aggressively in Gridley. They've been great. We started recently with them and got a very fast start, hit the ground running, got out of the gate very, very rapidly with Gridley. They've been fantastic, and we've submitted a high number of grants in a short amount of time for the city of Gridley. Before I conclude, I want to just also reiterate what Sammy mentioned about the two different options of the contract. The on-call option, the advantage of the on-call program option is that the needs assessment is at no cost to the city. We meet with the department heads, do a full comprehensive, full-blown needs assessment, no cost to the city. The grant, research grant identification, no cost to the city involved in that. So we're bringing you all this data, we're recommending grants for you, and there's no cost involved. And if there's a grant, identify it. And if you go after the no-go analysis, then we would say, there's a grant I think would be a good fit for you, and here's something we would charge you if you decided to write it with us. That's the benefit of the on-call. The benefit of the monthly retainer, and as Sammy mentioned, about half our clients do the monthly retainer, about half do the on-call. The benefit of the monthly retainer is unlimited, so we're going to write all the grants for you, one cost. We're going to do all your post-award compliance reporting and administration, one cost. So that's the benefit of the monthly retainer contract. And so, just as Sammy said, the cities that are really aggressive, they want to write 15, 20, 25 grant applications in a 12-month calendar year. They're gravitating to the monthly retainer contract because it comes out cheaper. It's like going to Costco, right? You're buying in bulk, you're getting a lot lower per unit cost. And the cities that want to just do 1 or 2 grants, maybe a year, or 3 grants a year,
they're doing the program contract. So hopefully that clarifies that. You know, that's a question we get just about every day. You know, should I do the program? Should I do the monthly retainer? It's really up to the city. Thank you, Mayor, council members, city manager, and Sammy and I are here. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, Doug, you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. You represent a lot of cities like Grass Valley and Nevada City, and also like Ridley and Biggs. If you represent them both and we're both competing for the same one, how does that have a conflict with you?
It's a great question. We get asked that question all the time. Our grant writers write the very best application we can to the agency. We try our hardest, you know, to get every single one funded. And it really depends on the scoring rubric and the project. The agencies are the ones that are deciding who gets awarded, not us. I wish we were deciding who gets awarded. So our commitment to our clients is we're going to write the very best application that we can to try to get the grant funded. Another thing we do, you know, the internal policy that we have is we're not sharing information while we're writing the grant. So if we're writing a grant application for one city, we're not telling the other city, hey, guess what this other city's working on, here's what they're applying for, you know, here's their project. Now, of course, after the application gets submitted, then it's all public information, because they're all, you know, these are public grants, so anyone can go and look and see what another city is applying for. But while we're writing the grant, we take that very seriously, keep that confidential. Sam, is there anything you would like to add to that? You're on the front lines with the grants every day, so.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I do want to add to that. The state of grants right now, across California, especially, grants are pretty competitive. I'd say they're becoming more and more competitive in current times as federal funding is becoming a little tighter, becoming a little bit less reliable. So I like to say that our clients are paying for professional grant writers to give themselves a chance in these extremely competitive programs and applications. That's why they hire us. That's why cities who are right next to each other are hiring us, because they want to compete, and we're giving them the chance to compete. Being in existence for 22 years has given us the experience to write these grant applications as we've written. For example, I mentioned HMGP. We've written that grant year after year since it's been in existence for how long, Steve? 10+ years, if not longer?
Yeah, and we were mentioning HMGP. I was thinking, how many have we written? We've written like 40 or 50 or 60. I don't know how many we've written, but yeah, you're right. The experience is definitely something that we bring to the table.
Yeah, so this makes the grant that we write more competitive than, not to say anything bad about city staff members, but more competitive than what a city staff member can write if they have never written that application before. And even if they have written it for 5 years, we have about 5 years of more experience on them. So that's why we're getting hired by multiple cities close to each other, so that they can actually compete in these applications and this process. And then I want to also add that beyond grant writing, we're also doing grant research for you, bringing grants to you that you might not even be aware of. So if you're writing grants, that's great, but if you're not using California Consulting Services, there may be 10+ grants that you've never even heard of that you're missing out on. And that's what we can bring to the table for you and your team, is the awareness of grants that are out there, the opportunities. So using our services, you're putting yourself in the race for many, many grants. Without us, it's a little hard to tap into this world of grants. I hope that answers the question.
So any chance you could send us the PowerPoint?
Absolutely. I have our contact that we've been communicating with over email to set this up. Should I just send it to him?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Anita, did you have any more questions?
I do have a question. Can any part of the grant, can we ask for the services from the consulting business? 'Cause
Yeah.
like, let's say it's $177,000, is your cost. In a grant, sometimes you can include that as part of the budget breakdown.
Yeah, and we get asked that question a lot. So California Consulting can't actually take any funding out of the grant, for the writing of it, but your city staff can be compensated for time for grant writing in some applications. Every application is different, every budget is different, so it would have to be a case-by-case basis. But where we can apply those costs, we will, at least for your team. However, like I said, we can't be paid out of the grant, our costs come up front. But then on the other side of it, for grant reporting and administration, sometimes our services are allowed for that and included in the grant's budget. For example, I'm doing a reporting requirement for a BSCC grant, and it's coming through in the invoices. California Consulting is doing the grant reporting, so we're being paid from the grant for the reporting of that grant specifically.
Yeah, Sam, you just said what I was gonna say, so in some cases, the grant reporting and administration of post-work compliance can be paid for from the grant at no cost to the city. And we have a lot of examples of that. Right now, we're doing that for several grants where we're doing the grant reporting and the city's not paying us to do the grant reporting, it's coming out of the grant.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions from the council? I'm sorry, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm
Come
curious.
on, John, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Any more questions, sir? Steve, did you have something else you were saying?
No, I just said you're welcome.
No, I thought I might have cut you off accidentally.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, any public comment, John?
I'd like to ask a question. Are there any grants out there for community activities?
Community activities? That was
Yes.
the question, correct? Yes, so, if you saw in the example, we did write a grant for Nevada City. It was called the Cal Volunteers Neighbors to Neighbors Grant, which was a great grant that I'd say over 200 cities across California applied for, because it funded community activities, since the Neighbors to Neighbors grant. It did the, Steve, help me out here, what's the police activity that, Rochester City do?
National Night Out.
National night outs and other types of city activities, that bring members of the community together, through public events. It can be, gatherings at City Hall, it can be, even fairs or farmers markets or other types of activities, that go on in the city. So the goal of that grant was to foster community connection, because as we approach, increasing results of climate change and the effects of that, it's more important than ever for cities to be together and to know your neighbor, because we might all have to be in that community resilience center one day. So that's really the goal of that grant. And then other grants, they fund a lot of community outreach and education activities. That's a big part of the grant. I'd say almost every single grant wants to see you do community events, so including that in the cost is gonna make it more competitive. Because grants really just wanna foster that connection to make sure that we're helping each other out. That's the goal of it, public benefit.
Okay, go ahead.
I have another question or comment. We have a very small staff here at the City of Biggs, and to put more on, let's say, Robin or Paul with a grant of tasks that they have to do. And I know most of the grants, we can't add another person to run the grant or get that work done in order to make sure that we meet all the deadlines. So that is still possible in a lot of the grants that you showed today, is that correct?
Sorry, what was the end of that?
So in the grants that you showed today, we could possibly add a staff to make sure that the grant is, completed. So we're not pulling from our current staff, because we have a very small staff here and they have a lot to do, so maybe we could add personnel, I guess is my question, to make sure that that grant is completed in a timely manner.
Understood, and, there is management costs included in almost every single grant that I've seen to make sure that your team has the ability and has the funds to actually complete the sometimes lengthy requirements. So those costs are included. Usually what I've seen is us paying for that staff's salaries who will be dedicated to the grant. So I have to ask other members of our team if we can actually hire someone to do that. I did mention that in certain grants, we've been hired through grant funding to do reporting and administration and management of grants, so I know that can be included. But like I said, every grant is different, so it would be a case-by-case basis, and we just have to look into the guidelines, and that's part of the needs assessment and the go, no-go analysis that we do, is making sure that we're also looking at the management requirements of every grant, and making sure that your team is able to meet those requirements. And, you know, it's a lot of work to just write a grant, but actually managing it is sometimes even more work. So our team is very cognizant of that requirement, and especially for smaller cities, we make sure to tell you up front what the requirements are going to be, and making sure that we have things in place to meet those requirements. Right, I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public? If not, all right, Sammy, Steve, thank you for your time, and send that to Rodney, and he'll be back in touch.
Will do. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
having us on. We appreciate it, and we look forward to working with the city.
Mayor, council members, very grateful for your time this evening.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6, consent calendar. Does anybody want to pull an item from the consent calendar? If not, I'll stop or open for a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve consent calendar A and B.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Items for consent consideration, item A, discussion action, proposal to convert First Street between B Street and Elite Street from one-way to two-way traffic.
Well, good afternoon. I was brought to our attention through a little survey that went around through one of our local gentlemen here, present with us today, John Crawford. He's been a proponent over the years of a multitude of safety features within town. It includes a lot of the streetscapes that are going on. So it had been previously proposed and adopted by the city for basically a one-way intersection. I'm gonna bring it down for you real quick. The other concern we're talking about is within this area between the loop and B Street on First. Through there, and to the picture. This is a rendition looking to the north from a vantage point at B Street. And this is looking to the south from a vantage point from B Street. What to note in these photographs, as you can see, is currently is a one-way, as noted in these sign directionals. And we're facing, is a one-way southbound at this point, with no parking along the curb line prolongation access on what would be the east side of the roadway. On the west side of the roadway is constructed curb gutter sidewalk, and that is posted currently to make sure, to remind people, please do not park on the sidewalk. That is the same as the directionals that's up on top through there. So let's give you a brief overview of the area that we're dealing with. And what has been brought to the attention of the city is that the current operation of the one-way street and the historical information in that configuration that was implemented back then that it may be time to come back and revisit that based upon the needs of the individuals residing within the area. So with that, Mr. Crawford brought forth to the city council makes a request that the two-way traffic be reinstated on First between B and Loop Street. It has an enumerated list of individuals who reside in the area on First and Loop Street. And he did a pretty good job of going door to door and obtaining signatures. And we do have some other folks represented here as well on the First Street who are affected by this change. We have Catherine Bristow who's present, and Robert Krampitz.
Yes.
Is also present along with Mr. Crawford.
Yes.
Those are the ones that I know personally, so, that are directly affected by the initial change and would be directly affected by the subsequent changing back from one way back to two way. So the discussion, potential discussion, conversation is the removal and modification of existing signage. I don't know if there's going to be painting or striping changes, but that will be as needed. The review of the curb geometry and intersection visibility. There's one thing that needs to be taken into consideration here is the fact that earlier this year, the state of California enacted a new regulation that states in effect that 20 feet around every corner on every intersection now is a red zone. So if you take the curb line prolongation from the corner, measure back 20 feet on each intersection, all four corners, that is no parking. That frees up what is referred to as a sight zone. So people who are approaching those stop signs or those intersections can actually see other traffic, vehicles, pedestrians, or whatever else is approaching from any other direction on those intersections. So the two intersections affected here, B and First and the Luton First, would be affected by that particular law. Because currently the curbs are not painted red. That's one thing that Public Works is down the road going to be taken care of with that new law that's coming into effect. I think it goes into effect January of 27 or 26. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I only know about it through the public safety stuff, so. In consideration of returning this back to a two-way, you have those additional things to take into consideration with that. And again, going on through the potential benefits and considerations, improved access for the residents, visitors through that area, enhanced visibility. It'll bring a little bit more balanced traffic flow in that particular area. It's interconnecting of the local people back to B Street is probably dramatically affect their coming from the residents off the First to Loop instead of having to go around the block. So here we are, bringing this forth to the city council to look for direction from staff on how they would like us to proceed on this community-wide suggestion brought forth to the council.
Okay, anybody want to start off? Doug?
I can start off, I guess. Been here for a long time, and we had that two-way street there for years and years. There was never any problem that I ever saw. If somebody did, because there was parking on that one side, if someone was coming at it, it's really slow. There was someone just backed up a little bit and let somebody through. The only concern I remember hearing about is if someone's parked there, the fire engine can't turn and go in there because there's not enough room for that big fire engine. But other than that, I see it now as with that 1 foot strip trying to get in and out of there. If I'm on the other side, I have to go clear around just to get that one block. And the people that live there have to do it all the time. I would like to see it back to a two-way street, just to make it easier on the residents, and they're the ones that have to deal with it all the time, because the people who live down there, not so much as us. That's what we have to represent, is the people that live in the certain areas. But on that comment about the red curb and no parking, I don't think that if you turn on B Street and go to the east, There is no curb there, I'm thinking, it just goes right, so there wouldn't be any way to paint it.
The statute will still apply at the still intersection.
Yeah,
However, they're going to accomplish identification in red, that's yet to be determined. Other than adding curb and sidewalk, or curb cut. But, I mean, one thing that I wanna make sure I did point out initially, so when you, on the back here, previously there's this parcel that's on the corner that was not necessarily developed. It has since been partially developed in a residential structure being placed in here with some, different approaches to its driveway, not off of First Street. So the concerns that were brought forth to me was to making sure that there's still be no parking along the east roadway. So it does free up at least somewhat with a little bit of space over there. Because there is still parking allowed on the west side of that where the curb and gutter exists. So it still becomes a little bit, it feels pretty narrow in there even with parking on one side of the street because of the way the street in itself was constructed. The telephone poles that you can obviously see on the east side as well that are in that short area limit the ability to widen that street in that particular area. There's also let's just call it a lot line issue in the area on that east side with the residential lot being so close to the road. Those are just some of the concerns that were brought forth that I want to make sure everybody's aware of. And I'll hand it back to you.
I would like to concur with Councilman Arnold on his comments and also with the city residents that travel that every day and live there. I just want to concur with you, and I think it's a great idea.
So with that, is that something you want to make a motion on now, or do you think that we need to address any potential problems with parking as it is, or anything else that was brought up in the past? And I voted no against that, so truthfully, I don't remember everything that was.
It's been a minute. I mean, I was around as a lieutenant of the police department at the time when this came to fruition in 2018. There was some input from the police department back then in regards to it, and it primarily had to do with the kids, school traffic, and everything, because that side street was constantly being used for people who were stopping, picking up their kids from the schools. It became a real congested area. And therefore, the thought process at the time was to move this to a one-way away from the school instead of to a back towards the school, further congesting that corner area, because when school gets out, that entire corner there is congested with not just cars and kids, but dogs and cats and everything else. If you've ever been there during when school gets out. So it does get very congested. So that was the thought process at the time. But here we are, we'll be coming back towards this. And this is just, I'm just looking for direction on whether or not we want to proceed to reevaluate that, or if there's any additional community outreach that we need to consider.
Well, it sounds like that at least the majority want to reevaluate it, and probably do need to see what other issues we might be faced with, or might be public safety issues. And I called the chief, but check, back with the PD, because I did hear from someone from the school, and basically they were asking if the Grizzly PD was gonna be by the school, and they stated that basically the sheriff, that's more or less what they did. So, and they understood, the situation, but it was a question just because of kind of what you said, is it gets chaotic there and people don't stop and so forth, so. But if it's okay, compile, information from the public and any other, check with Dave
I think the public's spoken very loudly on the petition that they filed with the city.
I understand that.
Specifically for those folks in that general
Those are
area.
signatures.
But I will get with, the planner and engineer as well as the police department and go over anything that any other concerns that may be, related to it. I can, do some community outreach to see if there's any additional individuals that may have a different opinion.
Well, or just, I guess my thing is if anybody's got, other safety concerns that I haven't heard that develop, especially with those cars parking more along the road, the west side more. So, anyway, so then bring it back in 2 weeks.
Bring it back and see where we're at.
Can two cars go by each other, or is it just one?
Regular cars.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
even with somebody parking on the west side?
No.
No, if somebody's on the west side, then you can't.
If there's parking,
Okay.
It depends on what part of it, I guess.
Right.
Statistics on that, so.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
you'll get with them on whatever.
I didn't know if you wanted public comment on
oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
it. We came down.
I thought that was public comment. No, go ahead.
Oh, that's a good comment, I mean, he's got some.
No, public comment for sure.
I didn't,
It's
I
an
was ready
action
for you to
item.
open it up,
Go ahead.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My name's John Crawford. I live on First Street. I've lived there for 40-some odd years. Well, 50, I guess, at this point. I did reach out to Tom Bassett, who lives on the corner of D and First Street, and let him know we were wanting to revisit that. He texted me, he said, well, I was never in favor of restrictions on that road to begin with, and we didn't have any issues in the last 43 years. Well, that's been my experience too. We've always negotiated that area, and the history of it, why it came to a head with the community, was that conditional lot split that happened on, was brought before the council. We were notified of that coming forth. We were concerned about any additional pressure on that section of road. Plus, had some history with people parking on the sidewalks. Let's get away from road curves again. Because I almost had an accident with a young boy on his little trike coming between two cars that were blocking the sidewalk. Thank goodness I don't travel fast on that road when it was too late anyway. But that was a concern. That's a citywide concern, not just that street concern, by the way. So back in 2000, I think 1920, when they put that conditional request, we were notified, and the community local to myself on First and Wood Street got together and submitted a similar petition at that point to make no parking on the road at all. We've come to believe that the Bassett's have the right to use that property as they see fit, and we've been able to negotiate it all these many years without any kind of incident in the past. To my knowledge, there was no traffic notification, monitoring how heavy that traffic is. It's not very heavy. And part of that I wanted to explain to that. If you could put up the picture going north on First Street, I wanted to give you an idea of the dimensions and then do a comparison for you. The part across from the Bassett's, which is closest to B Street, is about 21 feet wide. The next section across from the 2985 First Street, which is the new development, is 17 and approximately half that's paved. And then if you go, the third measurement I took was in front of my house, which I'm on the south side of Route Street, is 14 feet. Now, you would think, just saying, well, the traffic's gonna be busier between B Street and Lou Street. Rodney knows, I think, that the current owner of the property on the south dead end section has heavy activities. He lives on Second, so his route is to go from Second down Lou Street, down the end of First Street. And I can tell you from my cameras, it's numerous times a day, not just at night, I should say. So, you know, the comparison I wanted to give you is I went and measured Dakota. You know how wide Dakota is? 14 feet. It's a two-way, there's no restrictions on parking on Dakota, and it's a very narrow road. So we can make this work, is what I wanted to initiate. And we've talked to the people that are affected by it. Our neighbors are still in favor of doing it. And frankly, it's kind of a big imposition that in expense to have to go around multiple blocks to go out of town. And recently, our one neighbor had an emergency. I can let you want to talk about that one?
Sure.
I'll let you mention that. And obviously broke the law. In the past, I can tell you that I've seen, I'm not gonna time frame all of this stuff, city employees, the garbage trucks, contractors, neighbors. We've even opened up for two-way road during special events. And I'm not saying that's current activity, I'm just saying, I can tell you that I've seen all of that happen. We've been able to negotiate it, so we're asking for some relief in that area and would like to get back to normal. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other public comment?
Yeah.
Did you state your name, please?
Yes. Yeah, I'm Robert Krampitz. I'm at 2952 First Street, and a lot of what John had to say, I ditto. For my wife lived there for 50-something years of her life, never had an issue there. We've been there for 23 years, never had an issue. There were times that a car would come around the corner, like you were talking about, and you're heading northbound, they're coming southbound, and you just back up, what, 60 feet? You know, I don't think, I usually do 10 miles an hour through that section when it's open, but it is an imposition to go through 3 stop signs and around an entire city block when you look and there's your target right there, your destination is B Street, and you're just like, oh my God. And like John said, numerous neighbors, I've seen the sheriff's department go the wrong way down the street, I've seen garbage trucks go the wrong way, and many neighbors. Bill Turner, who's not here tonight, I don't know if Jeremy knows Bill Turner. He's our neighbor. He had a heart attack the other night, and he had a 4-way bypass, emergency bypass up at Inlow. Well, I'm not suggesting people do this, but he drove himself to Inlow. I said, hey, did you go around the block on your way? And he goes, no. And in fact, when he got to the hospital, they wanted to do the surgery right then. So he said, you know, maybe if I'd gone around that block, I still might not be alive. And I was like, well, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it was never much of a problem. The only problem, as in John's case, a child rode a little 3-wheeler out from behind the cars. That was the main problem, because the sidewalk was always being parked on by vehicles. And once again, the Bassett's gave up a section of that property for that sidewalk, from what I understand. So I can't fault them for wanting to park on what was their property. You know, we didn't know that initially. My thought was to paint the whole thing red. I think the 20-foot area now that the state's talking about, if you were to initiate that, that's going to give you more visibility going around that corner from B Street southbound, which wasn't necessarily there before. So I think that would actually help out right there, because it gives you, you know, a decent amount of area where the cars aren't parked right up to the street, B Street on First Street. Anyway, it sounds like we're heading back to putting it back the way it was for 50 years, and I think that would be great. It does add 4 or 5 minutes to my drive every day, which is really frustrating if you're running late for a doctor's appointment. So there you have it, and thank you. I want to thank all of you for being here. I'm not really privy to what all occurred here recently, except for what I've read in the paper. And I really thank all of you for being here and taking on this public responsibility for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Any other public comment?
My turn.
Hey there, old friend.
I don't have a lot to say. Just to reiterate, I live 2924 First Street. My name's Catherine Bristow. I've lived there, I won't tell you how long.
I know how long.
About 50 years, well, on and off. My family owns the property. I'm the very south end. I'm the last one. Last livable house.
That's a good comment.
Yeah.
So, the brick house. So I guess I have to travel the furthest. So yeah, it's been an inconvenience, and I get it, but you know, I haven't heard of a lot about making it no parking. Is that a possibility? No parking? And I know that'd be a real inconvenience for the Bassett's, but
Yes.
was that ever considered, or?
Well, I think we talked about it, Charlie,
Yeah.
don't quote me on this, but she wasn't crazy about having to park on B Street with the grandkids.
Oh, yeah.
That was what I remember.
Oh, I thought they had a couple of garages though.
They do.
I
That's
don't
what
think
I
they're
was
functional,
thinking.
but
Okay, I was.
I don't know, that's what I remember.
I know, if I had a garage, it'd be packed with other stuff. So I get it. But anyway, I'm not sure what else to say, but yeah, I'm hopeful that it'll go back to two-way and always just be careful and mindful of the kids. I know it does get kind of congested there at certain times, so, but we'll just have to be careful.
A quick little comment, two things. We got a new sheriff in town, so to speak, that I know will enforce the law, unlike that. And so we don't want to have our citizens lawbreakers. And that was one of the concerns that I brought up. You were on the council when we talked about this before. And we don't want to have that issue in front of law-abiding citizens being in the way of that issue. And
Making you criminals.
yeah, that's right, we're making our citizens criminals because sometimes that happens. But we do want to maintain the no parking on sidewalk sign. That was part of the discussion. And it's something that you should look at as an issue for the entire city, frankly.
It is for the entire city.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Anything else, anybody? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item D. Discussion action item, comparing the bid proposal for hydrant replacement, Bannock and 7th Street. Papa, or is that you taking this one?
I didn't have the actual, you got all the bids and everything, correct?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, as we talked about last time, we talked about the proposal to remove the push tile, schedule 40, and, upgrade it to C900, plus we need to put a flow valve in, because the flow valve is not operational, and it turns the water off, but it's not completely. And then, replacing the dry barrel with an actual wet barrel, fire hydrant. There was some discussion, looks like on this, the agenda about, C900 versus, ductile iron, and that could change the price a little bit between the bids, but I'm talking probably maybe $300 difference. Because C900 is a very good pipe, and so is ductile iron. Ductile iron is basically metal pipe, and it's encased with concrete surrounding protection. The only difference between the two, if we were going to run the C900, you just basically have one less transition clamp. I would say clamp fitting, so that'd be pretty much the only difference before it gets to the brewery, where it turns up and goes into the fire hydrant.
So you're recommending that we do that, and that's included in the $15,895 bid?
Yeah, but that's what the C900 is.
Perfect, okay.
So if we did do the ductile iron, which like I said, C900 and ductile iron, in my opinion, are one and the same thing. Both are good quality material. I mean, C900 should last you 80 years. Ductile iron, same thing. I mean, they're both, like I said, the only difference is if you went with the ductile iron, I think you'd make a transition at the flow valve, and then you'd have a flange fitting that would come up instead of MJ, which would be the opening. But other than that, it's pretty much the same, it's apples and apples.
Any questions, Doug? Ron, any questions? No. So basically, you're recommending, the Fletcher plumbing, 28,200 or the 30,000?
No, I'm recommending blue collar, it's 15,000.
I like the one bidding that is less, where you can have less.
It's 15,000.
Yeah, I mean, not as far as cost, but where the connections, there's less connections. I mean, you're saying they're apples and oranges, but
Well, yeah.
I'm just throwing that out. It's up to you.
Because the only difference is the pipe.
Right.
The section of pipe, which is like 15 feet.
Mhm.
So you're basically talking $300 difference, somewhere in that area. If you wanted to go with the ductile wire, I mean, in my opinion, they'll do the same thing, because once you get up to, I know, I'm trying to explain to you guys what this is, but a brewery, basically what it is, it has an opening, which is, they call it MJ opening. And then you got a follower, and then you got a mega lug, which bolts and tightens it on there with the rubber. And then it comes up, and then obviously you got your breakaways, and you got your fire hydrant. So that would be the only difference, is where it makes the transition either be flange or be an MJ.
Okay, well, for $300 more, I just think it would maybe be better. I don't know. Fire hydrants, I think, are very important. You know, when you have an emergency, it's just, I don't know, just my opinion.
Doug, got any part of the blue collar? And for future, I know this because it's a fire hydrant and whatnot, but in the future, and I talked to Rodney about this, if we could run this stuff through Public Works Committee, so they have a chance to vet it and come back with the recommendation. Because quite honestly, I spent some time trying to figure out what all this stuff was today, and it's might as well be another language, by and large. I mean, I understood the numbers, but, so anything else? Jerome?
No.
Any public comments?
How often do you guys meet, Public Works?
They used to meet about once a month.
Yeah.
So, when is the next meeting?
There's none scheduled.
Oh.
That would be nice. That
Maybe
would
we
be
can
nice.
schedule one.
I already talked to Rodney about it, as I said, and, but it's Jerome and Doug are on that, on Public Works. So,
It's a committee assignment.
Yes.
So maybe the first of every month, I don't know, just throw it out.
they'll work it out, but, so do you want to go ahead and make a motion on that then?
I will motion to award the contract to Blue Collar Plumbing Operation LLC in the amount of $15,895 plus the $300, right? Is that not in there?
No, it's not in there, that's what I said.
Plus the $300, contingent upon verification of licensing, insurance, and references.
I'll second
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. Item 8, department update reports. I really nothing. City administrator report.
Other than working on, everything you're seeing, plus the new assignment, and giving the reports taken care of, and everything else. I haven't had to attend any meetings at this point. I was present for an LEC meeting, but it was a whole lot of discussion with that LEC stuff. Nothing new there, they just went over the budget and what they're gonna have to do to fix some stuff, and other than that, that's all I have for this moment.
Okay.
That'll change,
Yeah. I guess at this time,
Say Monday?
Yes.
The filing period for city council is open, so anyone that's interested in running for council, it closes on August the 8th. So invite your friends and neighbors.
I did attend the, Mill Road landfill, so there's issues on, so we'll be meeting again tomorrow. We didn't have this meeting planned. So they're trying to keep the costs down to like Waste Management, who we have a contract with, and, so there's a lot of discussion on how to keep the costs down so that our prices, you know, paying for waste, I think we pay like $71 every quarter, and for members or for people in the city of Biggs, and so they're just trying to keep that cost down. And so they're having more discussions how to do that. And I had a tour of the landfill, very interesting.
Did they get the roadway changed yet?
That is, has been changed, so Neil Road was getting backed up with a lot of the tractors and the cars, and so they moved the, Neil Road entrance to be a little longer, comes in, they have a new, scale there, so that is is operating now. And so the only thing is when you go to dump your garbage, it's gonna take you a little longer, they're gonna be a lot faster now. But yeah, so that's new.
It used to be dangerous out there. I know it still is.
Road to take action and start back down the road.
Yeah, it could back up, you know, a quarter of a mile, yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
So, Lieutenant, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't use.
Not a problem at all. Good evening, everyone. No new reports from us, but we are looking forward to seeing everybody at National Night Out. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the help.
Yeah, thank you for your presence every night. I can tell when you guys are in town.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, if there's nothing else, we are going to adjourn into closed session at 7:16. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Way to do it, yeah. Close it.
Thank you.
Closed session.